The Silent Hill 2 remake is an extremely faithful remake that retains the tone and surreal atmosphere of the original so well, but I think this is one element where they could have gone much further than they did. It's no surprise that things aren't as they seem in this quiet town, and I feel as though with the game being a remake, there was an amazing opportunity to make the game feel so much fresher to people who are intimately familiar with the original. There are already some fun nods to people who already know what's coming, like having there be something under a blanket in the back of James's car, but I feel as though the declining sanity could be best reflected through gameplay. There are already some references within the game to the metatextuality. This is immediately apparent when James first examines a save page and the camera stares back at his dulled face, and he comments about someone groping around inside his skull. This is illustrated by the eye-straining red glow that overpowers the screen, causing a feeling of unpleasantness for the player as well as James, and it represents the repressed memories in his head trying to break out, as every time he saves the game, it's akin to making new memories, so his old ones are fighting to come back. This is also shown through the cryptic messages scrawled around Silent Hill. At the beginning of the game, we're led to believe that these were left by the residents who abandoned the town, but with hindsight, we know that these are James's thoughts, appearing to him in the real world, desperately trying to make him remember what he did. The first of these messages that appear, "There was a hole here, now it's gone," could credibly pass as nonsense or a mistranslation, but with context, I believe this message to refer to James's heart, and the guilt that bore a hole into it, making him fall deeper into his pit of despair, but at this early stage of the game, he's completely covered it up. These are the hints that Silent Hill 2 gives us to the eventual reveal at the Lakeview Hotel, but these are the things that are present within the original Silent Hill 2, and I felt that with the progression of technology in the 2 decades since, these foreshadowing moments could have benefited the most from a remake. Adding more moments for veteran players to recognize would have been an incredible treat and would build the tension wonderfully for when we reach the game's most iconic moment in that hotel room. But what are some examples of extra Easter eggs that Bloober Team could have hidden within Silent Hill 2 that hints towards the true nature of the town that would only make sense if you already knew the big secret? Well, one that I'm surprised wasn't a secret hint was the new puzzle the game opens with in Neely's bar. I thought there might have been some secret reason why the remake starts off with entirely new content, as normally remakes are keen to capitalize on nostalgia as quickly as possible. So when we began meddling with a jukebox, I was sure there was going to be some hidden message on the record, either hidden in the static or a mysterious voice that plays before the music. But instead, the player simply makes James recall the day he spent staring at the lake with Mary. I found it a strange but extremely confident decision to begin this high-stakes remake with a totally original concept. But I suppose it may have been done to increase the playtime, but that doesn't take away on how this is a fantastic tutorial puzzle, but I'll save that discussion for another time. Another way to hide these references could have been hidden in Radiostatic. You're going to spend a majority of the game listening to the crackle of the radio due to the massive increase in enemy encounters in this remake, and I think hearing faint voices and sounds instead of static could have been an incredible tool for foreshadowing. The moment that I have most in mind is during Brookhaven Hospital, where when we walk around the different wards, we can hear the actual sounds of a hospital concealed within the crackle, like the beep of a heart rate monitor or the rolling of gurneys. Things that James would remember about being in the hospital from when he was looking after Mary. After all, the fog in the town represents his clouded mind, and what is radiostatic if not audio fog, just a thick blanket of nothing obscuring what lies beneath it. So the radio could have been a connection to James's memories, as another way they're desperately fighting to reach out through the game, and since this remake seems so fond of adding jump scares where there weren't any originally, what if when he walked into the hospital room that could represent where Mary was staying, the radio suddenly screeched, "Help me!" which James might think is Maria, go back to check on her and see that she's gone before we meet up with her later, not realizing that the voice he's hearing wants to be saved from him. Of course, that could confirm the true motive James had for killing his wife, which is probably something Bloober Team wanted to retain as ambiguous, as if I was the original director, I would feel weird having someone else decide what the canon answer to one of my mysteries was. Overall, Silent Hill 2 Remake is an amazing recreation of a seminal horror title. I just wish that a few of the changes the game makes to the original were more rewarding to returning players, instead of just making the game longer. I do feel weird criticizing something that isn't in a game, and while nothing is lost by such references not being there, I do see it as a missed opportunity. I'll be back in 2 days. In the meantime, here's a video about why the combat of Silent Hill 2 Remake is so unexpectedly amazing.